Ukrainian churches in the central Saskatchewan area are seeing some new visitors. A group of researchers from the University of Alberta and a few Saskatchewan volunteers are taking part in the Sanctuary project, documenting church treasures before they're forgotten.
We want to get as clear of a picture of Ukrainian life in the prairies, of the sacred life in the prairies, right? So we do Ukrainian Baptist Church, Ukrainian Catholic Church, Ukrainian Orthodox churches. We also do Russian Orthodox, because you have Ukrainians who join the Russian Orthodox churches, and sometimes that's where they worshipped. We do Romanian Orthodox for the same reason, and then we also do Orthodox Churches of America.
One of the most disappointing things for the group is finding abandoned churches in disrepair and vandalized.
The worst part is when you see a church dying. Like, not dying, but being abandoned. Now, I don't know if it's the worst. I always kind of half either way, but it's really sad when you see a church that's been vandalized, right? So this church, you could, like my father said, you could smell urine up in the choir loft, and it's not nice. It's not particularly pleasant. You can see, graffiti on it.
An example of this was seen at a church just 30 minutes outside of Prince Albert, but the group has asked PA Now not to reveal the exact name and location of the church to prevent further vandalism.
They've gouged the eyes out of the Mother of God. We saw a church that was essentially empty. The altar was still at the front, and we walked closer up to the altar. We could see that on the icon of the Mother of God, someone had carved out the eyes, and that's a perfect example of some of the vandalism that we encounter as we go around in the countryside. And one end of the altar had been pulled out so that the person would have easy access to the interior of the altar, and when we went inside that enclosed space, you could really see the rough cut marks from where the eyes had been gouged, essentially.
However, it's not all bad. The Sanctuary Project has found several small churches that have been preserved and loved by individual families.
This area, every church has been just kind of a beauty. We find new iconographers here, that we haven't seen. We see more of Baran and Lipinski, which are two famous ones, but I never knew that, for example, Lipinski, who's very popular in Alberta, had come up here and started painting some paintings here.
In addition to documenting the churches for the future, the group has been finding local Ukrainians in the area who can provide the history of their culture and traditions.
It is one way to look at life and how it changes and how it adapts. So that was one of the reasons, you could do all sorts of things, but that is something that you can find pretty well everywhere. And then you can see, here is different from Camrose, which is south of Edmonton.
Was it donated to the church then?
Oh yes, all the money came to the church. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Build the church.
I thought it was great that somebody was trying to preserve some of the culture and taking pictures, and so I helped John Paul find some contacts.
The group will continue to travel around the area for another couple of weeks before heading back home. For PA Now, I'm Sarah Stone.